Tough, Mental Training 101 with Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman. And now back to Andrew and Dutch.
All right, we're back in the saddle. Andrew and
Dutch.
Dutch. The mighty Dutch Coleman. Oh, this is so funny. I got to tell this story, though. So we're in Seattle, and our host, Dave, the CEO of the company that we were out there with, he gets to the podium, and he's going to introduce us. And so he begins to introduce us, and he's a fan of the show, so shout out again to Dave. But he gets up, and he said, and now I'd like to introduce Andrew Wittman and the Dutch Coleman. And he's like, I've waited so long to say that. It was so awesome, dude. I just love it. Fan of the show.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that guy. Yeah, great guy. A visionary.
He is a visionary. Man, he is so rare. I'm telling you, this guy, he gets this stuff. He is, this is a rare genius, this guy out here.
He's the rare CEO that's willing to pay the personal price, not just the price of writing a check towards a problem, but he's the CEO that's going to get in the trenches with you. He's going to get down on all fours with you and scrub that floor.
He's leading by example, man. He totally is, and he's done that for 30 years. I love being in his space, man. It's just so good being around an elite warrior.
And when you've been around people that are not like that, and you get around people like Dave, it makes you appreciate them even more. But the employees under him should appreciate him, even if they don't know. So we have intimate contact and communications with Dave. So we know even beyond what they see and what they hear. We know his vision. We know his feelings, his heart.
Right.
He's poured his heart out to us with respect to his organization and his people. So we know even a level above what they know, what he has for them and what he wants for them. And you can't beat that. That is not normal. And so shout out to Dave for being that visionary, that person that wants what's best, not just for him and his organization in his own pockets, but his people that he employs.
Right, and I just got to say this as a dad. He's got two fantastic sons that work with him side by side in the business, and they are just wonderful, and their wives are awesome, and it was really cool being in that family space, man.
No doubt.
All right, so have you calmed down since I got you all cranked? Okay, all right. So then Kate goes on to say that in pursuit of the ideal employee, companies are investing more time and capital in teasing out job applicants' personality quirks, sometimes hiring consultants to develop tests and screening methods. I can't do it, man. They're taking these personality tests. It's like the quarterbacks, right? We got to give them the Wonderlic test or whatever,
Right, but it's fine. But at the end of the day, you have to touch people. So I don't even mind these tests being a part of the process, but these tests can't be the process. So even
and that's the problem. They're like so. And here's the question, and this is what I tweeted out as the title of the show. Are you hiring for attitude, or can you train it? So what they're doing is they're hiring for attitude. That's really what these soft skills are all about. They're trying to hire for attitude. And I've had so many executives tell me, well, we hire for attitude. You can't train that. And I got into it with my PR person today, right? And I said, listen, I hear that so often. That's a bunch of nonsense because your attitude can change on a dime depending on what's going on in your life at any given second. You could have a great attitude 1 second, and then you could get in a car wreck. You could get a big tax lien put on your house. You could get a big bill. There's, a medical diagnosis. You have no idea how fast. And so that's just ridiculous that you think that I'm going to hire somebody for attitude and then they're going to be on autopilot. Oh, good. We checked that box. I mean, it just drives me insane, dude.
I've seen attitudes change overnight. I've seen attitudes change from a motivation. What's my motivation now?
Yeah.
We hear actors all the time. What's my motivation?
Yeah.
Hey, that changes attitudes. A lot of different factors change attitudes. You can coach attitudes because the attitude is going to be based in why. Well, we're going to teach you why your attitude needs to be a certain way, why it helps you, why it benefits you in every aspect of your life when your attitude's a certain way. So you have a reason that your attitude's a certain way other than someone telling you that your attitude should be a certain way.
And this is really funny because you're going to judge first off, what are your qualifications? What are the criteria? This is what we did in our advanced coaching call. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you like their attitude. What's the criteria? What specifically are the facts of their behavior that caused you to like their attitude? They can't answer that because they're like, they looked good. What does that mean? They look professional. They had good personal appearance. Tell me what those things are.
Think about this. Other than, anybody, and with all due respect to my consultant friends out there, in some cases, consultants just take the test, they give it to these different people, and they use the results from the test, and they screen these people with other mundane, age-old tactics to separate people, right? Now, if I'm a hiring consultant, I'm not a critical thinker. I'm not an empathetic person myself. How do I know how to identify these things, right? Again, as we said before, so you're bringing in hiring consultants who are armed with tests and screening methods, but they don't have the personal touch. They don't have the skills.
Well, they
to
have no
identify.
idea. How do they think their thoughts? What's their process to think their thoughts? So you're taking somebody who clearly is not a critical thinker. They may say they are, but if they can't articulate, listen, if somebody cannot articulate to you the actual process, the steps that every thought is run through, what is that filter? See, I have an actual 4-step process. Every thought gets run through 4 steps. Every thought. And we teach that process to every single person, right? If somebody can't say, here's my critical thinking matrix, here's how I process my thoughts, and they can't articulate that, they're not a critical thinker. You could say you are, but sitting in a garage saying you're a car doesn't make you one.
Absolutely. Now, check this out. The last part of the sentence was, and beefing up training programs. So they're beefing up bad training programs.
I know, right? We're training what? What are we training? How to think.
Yeah.
So if you don't have people that know how to think thoughts and have a process, what are they teaching people? We're winging it?
That's absolutely. I'll jump on the next sentence. We've never spent more money, because this is in connection with the beefing up training programs.
Yeah.
So you're beefing up bad training programs. I inserted the word bad, okay?
Yep.
So right after that, we've never spent more money, again, beefing up bad training programs in the history of our firm than we are now on recruiting, says Keith Albritron, Chief Executive of Allen Investments, an 84-year-old wealth management company in Lakeland, Florida. So they're spending more money than ever and throwing it. The target is not even good. So I'm shooting at innocent bystanders. That's what I'm doing in effect. I'm not shooting at the target. I'm shooting in dead space, blank space, right? I'm just shooting into the sky with no target. That's what people are doing with their pocketbooks, right? And that's what they're getting. They're getting a bunch of nothing, and they're getting a bunch of misses. And I can't even categorize them as misses, because you can't miss if you don't even have a target. So these people are all over the place. Again,
now listen to how crazy this is. So this is just ridiculous. So here. Dutch, is an original or a copy? What would you, if you were having an original painting, or would you want a copy of a painting? Which one would be more valuable?
The original.
So what if you had a copy of a copy, or a copy of a copy of a copy,
right?
Or a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy? In 2014, this firm hired an industrial psychologist who helped identify the traits of its top-performing employees, and then they developed a test for job candidates to determine how closely that they match to those traits. What?
It gets worse. That's just poor. That's just a bad idea. I mean, in the worst kind of theory, it's a good idea. The worst kind of theory, it's a good idea. You know what? He was able to attract. He was able to get married wearing these clothes. Let me put these same clothes on this person to see if they can attract a wife. They're just ignoring all the things that made that man or woman fall in love with one another. They're ignoring all the things, and they're only dealing with the cover, right? So
yeah, because they're looking at external, so traits. Okay, right. So look, they're well spoken, they have charisma, they have that's not duplicated. So we're going to look for somebody who is well spoken and has charisma. It has nothing to do with an internal identity, what the target is. They have no idea how to think their thoughts, no idea the process that goes with empathy. Not quite sure if they're emotionally intelligent or not. So I'm just looking at and then I'm just going to try and duplicate that by finding other copies, cheap knockoffs. You know, the box store, discount store version of whoever the guy was that was awesome.
Well, let me tell you what happens when I create a complete duplicate or copy with external factors, right? This is what happens. So I give you a taut charisma. I give you a great clothing. I give you a great subset of words, language to use when talking to the lady, right? I give you a great script, right, to talk to a lady. You get married. What happens when the game changes? What happens when the script, when the young lady or the young man asks a question that's not according to script? See, you've created this fake, this copy, and now they can't think of their own. They don't know a process on their own that allows them to think, to critically think what just happened. They're thumbing through papers trying to look through the script to find out, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? Because you haven't created a critical thinker. You've created a robot that you've already said robots and machines don't have soft skills, right? They can't be empathetic, right? They can't critically think, but you just created a robot that only does these duplicatable tasks, right? So when you build critical thinking and empathy with substance and a why, it's completely different. Now, no matter what the situation is, no matter what the problem is, I use my process that I created, that I developed, that I walked down the path, and I can solve anything. I can get through anything. You tracking that?
Absolutely. I mean, and then I got to just jump down a paragraph because here's their numbers. Wall Street Journal survey of 900 executives said 92% said that these soft skills were equally or more important than the technical skills. And 89% of them said they're having a hard time finding them. And then, so what they do, they don't think you can train these. They hire for these. This is their answer. 92% said it's more important than technical skills. And yet they're training technical skills, and all they're trying to do is hire for these skills, which are more important, which totally cracks me up because they have no idea how to build this process. They're just looking for them. It's like out there trying to find the needle in the haystack. And so we'll spend more money on trying to come up with a test to find out. And listen, Dutch, you and I both know on any given day, I know that I'll say it, the church answer or the town hall answer. I know which answer is going to help me score better on these tests.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna tell you this. So we're looking at two different things, right? So we're looking at number one. You're looking at people that can't even identify. They don't have the skill set themselves. You have hirers
Right.
that don't have. They're not critical thinkers themselves. They're not empathetic themselves. They're not effective communicators themselves.
Right.
And you're asking them to do so. So number one, if you just brought us in to do that part, we do better. There'd be an improvement.
There would be an
Because
improvement. Yeah, right.
We have that skill set. Better yet, how about we come in and teach your leaders to do that, and get this, we teach your pool of current employees and any onboarding that occurs to do that. So now it takes that, it can take it out of your hands. We can create a culture in which everyone within your organization has those skills regardless of the job, because we've already identified that across every industry, across every level of pay, these skills are transferable, they're usable, they're effective. So now we created a culture within your entire organization that have this skill set that you've determined hard to get. We're going to give you that. But again, we're going to give the gatekeepers, the hirers, the gatekeepers, the same skill set. So less people are going to slip through the cracks because I know the right questions to ask. I know what to look for. I've been trained myself. I am now a critical thinker, right? And even with all that, once I bring you on board, you're still going to go through my training program, which is going to enhance any critical thinking skills you already have. It's gonna create a process. It's gonna identify a target for you moving forward, and everybody's happy. So all these truths that are all plastered throughout this article are gonna be able to either be kicked out or moved into the fact category, because that's
Right.
what we do. We kick out the truths and we move it into the fact category.
That's right. We move it right on over. That's absolutely true. So it's just, it's mind-boggling to me, okay? But so to determine the most sought-after skills, they went to LinkedIn and they analyzed these soft skills listed on profiles of members that were like 2 or more jobs they had changed between 2014 June and 2015 June. And here's what they found. So this survey from LinkedIn, they found here are the soft skills. Number 1 was the ability to communicate. That trumped everything else.
Stop. See, and again, they left off the word effectively, but go ahead.
No, just any communication. They don't even care. Clearly, like we're up on a break, so I'll do this list when we get back. You're listening to the Get Warrior Tough radio show with Dutch and Andrew and Dutch.